This video here we're going to be looking at or exploring the number plane, and it's involved in our integers unit because it involves both positive and negative integers. So we'll get into that here. So basically, as a bit of a background, in the 17th century, this good-looking rooster over here and another mate created or developed the idea of the number plane. So effectively, it was just a way to sort of plot down different points in some coordinates to use both negative and positive numbers, and it'll sort of revolutionize the way that we link geometry and algebra. Now it's important that as we go through, you're going to need to understand the three names. So as you hear these three names, they basically mean the same thing, so there's more just the vocabulary for it. So it can often be referred to as the number plane, the coordinate plane, or the Cartesian plane. So even though you might hear these three things, they all basically mean the same thing. So let's have a quick look at what the number plane is and the key ideas based around it. So the number plane uses two axes. Okay, so we've got two axes. We've got an X and a Y axis, and they're both at right angles. So each axis uses a scale that includes both positive and negative numbers. Okay, so we've got positive and negative numbers, and we use them to plot points down within this. So here's an example here on the right of what that looks like. So you see you've got your x-axis goes along the horizontal, and then you have your y-axis, and so each side has a positive side and a negative side using those integers. A point plotted on the plane has an x and a y coordinate, which is written as, and it's important you understand it, so you have x and y coordinates. So the first thing you write down is the x coordinate with a comma, and then the y coordinate. So when you're plotting these a bit later on, you write the x coordinate first, followed by the y coordinate. Now the point here in the middle which is point 0, 0, is called the origin. Okay, so it's the middle of that number plane, in which we call the origin. The other thing you need to quickly make sure you know before we move on, and I'll get you to draw this in your book, is that you need to understand the four quadrants. So when we mention the four quadrants, or what quadrant does this coordinate lie in, we refer to this part here. So the top, it starts with the positive, so you've got positive and positive, and then it goes anti-clockwise around from there. So we have the first quadrant, second, third, and fourth quadrants. So make sure you write that information down, and we're going to do some examples of how we can plot these different ones down in our questions. Okay, so our first question here is, for the number plane shown, write down the coordinates on the point labeled A, B, C, and D. So what we do here, again, remembering that we have the x-axis first, always use x-axis first, followed by the y. We're going to write down these plots based on the coordinates here. So if we focus here on A, I'm going to start on the x. So my x-axis is 1, and on my y-axis is also 1. So I just plot that down like so, using those brackets. For B, I have down here x-axis first, which is 3, so it's positive 3. I'll write that again. And then the y-axis is on negative 2. For C, which is located down here, again I'll start on the x-axis, so it is negative 2. I go across first, then down to negative 4. And then on my D, which is in the second quadrant, I'll go with the x first, so it's negative 3, and going up to a positive 3. So it's important that you understand what these look like, because you're going to start to see a pattern as we go through. Depending on the quadrant that it lands in, will give us an idea of what that pattern looks like. So I know, for example, that the positives here in going along the x-axis, so if it starts with a positive number, I know that it's going to be in the first and fourth quadrant. If it starts with a negative number, I know that it's going to be in the second or third quadrant. So understanding that rule, and we'll be able to go from there. Thanks, guys.